What if I told you that you've been gardening all wrong? While you're replanting tomatoes every single spring, ancient Romans planted once and harvested for 25 years straight. They fed 50 million people with techniques so efficient 99% of modern gardeners have never heard of them. They had no chemical fertilizers, no pesticides, and no gas-powered tillers. They just had secrets. These aren't just historical curiosities. They are a lost instruction manual for a sustainable world. And today, we're unlocking it. Welcome to Nature Lost Vault. The Romans weren't just conquerors. They were obsessive observers. Their greatest soldiers and senators, Cato, Varro, Columella, wrote massive, detailed guides on how to feed an empire forever. They documented a system that modern science is only now proving to be genius. We have unlocked the 10 most powerful techniques from those texts. Get ready. This will change how you see your garden. Let us start with their most radical idea: permanence. Forget planting every spring. The Romans built permanent food installations. They were obsessed with asparagus. But their method was brilliant. They dug deep beds, filled them with compost and sand for drainage, and planted the crowns 8 inches deep. Then, they walked away. That single planting produced thick, harvestable spears for a generation. Modern science confirms this. The deep planting creates a massive, decades-long root system. Here is how you do this. Build a raised bed. Fill it with rich compost and sand for drainage. Plant your crowns 8 inches deep, which is deeper than most packets say. Water them the first season, then largely ignore them. By year 3, you'll be harvesting for the next 2 decades. But a permanent bed needs permanent fertility. The Romans didn't have synthetic nitrogen. They had something better: observation. Columella, one of their greatest agricultural writers, said lupin beans were equal in effect to animal manure itself. He was describing nitrogen fixation. Legumes like beans, peas, and clover host bacteria that pull nitrogen from the atmosphere, creating free, perfect fertilizer. Romans wove these plants everywhere. They planted them between grain rows and as a living carpet beneath their grapevines, creating vineyards that fertilized themselves. Takeaway: never plant a bed with just one thing. Always include a legume. Plant pole beans to climb your corn. Plant clover as a living mulch around your trees. Grow peas. Plant peas in early spring, and then plant your tomatoes in that same spot. The peas will have fed the soil for you. This philosophy of balance was at the heart of their entire system. The Romans understood something we have forgotten. You cannot grow the same crop in the same place. It is a recipe for disease and depletion. They perfected the 3-field rotation. In year 1, plant heavy feeders like wheat or cabbage. In year 2, plant light feeders like turnips or herbs. In year 3, plant legumes to restore the soil. Then, and only then, return to heavy feeders. To use this today, divide your garden into 3 or 4 sections. Keep a small notebook. If your tomatoes and peppers were in section A this year, plant beans or peas there next year. It is that simple. You have broken the disease cycle and are building soil for free. But their genius was not just in the soil. It was in the design of the farm itself. This next technique is pure Roman brilliance. They did not grow grapevines on dead wooden posts. They married the vines to living trees. The vines climbed elms or poplars. The tree provided a permanent living trellis. Its leaves, when pruned, became free animal fodder. Beneath the canopy, farmers grew nitrogen-fixing clover. Between the rows of trees, they planted grain. 1 field, 4 harvests. Wine, fodder, fertilizer, and food. This is advanced, but you can do it. Instead of a dead post, plant a hardy, deep-rooted tree like black locust, which also fixes nitrogen, and train a grapevine to climb it. Plant herbs and clover underneath. You have just created a multi-story food forest. This same obsessive engineering applied to the ground itself. If you look at Roman ruins, you see stones everywhere. This was not just messy, it was engineering. In a dry Mediterranean climate, stone mulch is a game changer. During the day, the stones absorb heat, and at night they release it, protecting plants from cold. More importantly, they act as a lid on the soil, cutting water evaporation by up to 50%. The stones also provided a habitat for lizards and beneficial insects that ate pests. Around your perennial fruit trees, rosemary bushes or herbs, lay down a 2-inch layer of river rock or gravel. It will protect the soil and save you water, especially in a hot climate. They didn't just manage the climate, they learned to defy it. In the 1st century CE, Emperor Tiberius demanded fresh melons in the middle of winter. His gardeners delivered. Pliny the Elder documented their solution. Growing beds built on wheels. By day, they were rolled out into the sun. On cold nights, they were rolled under frames glazed with lapis specularis, transparent selenite stone. This was the specularium, the world's first greenhouse. The practical version for us is the Roman hotbed. In the fall, dig a pit 3 feet deep. Fill the bottom 2 feet with fresh, hot manure, like horse or chicken, mixed with straw. Cover it with 1 foot of good soil. As the manure decomposes, it will generate free heat for months, letting you grow lettuce and greens all winter. That hot manure was not just for heating. The Romans were absolute masters of composting. Columella ranked manures with scientific precision. Bird droppings were the best, highly concentrated. Human excrement was second, but it had to be aged. Cattle and sheep manure were the reliable workhorses. They never applied manure raw. They aged it. They composted it with straw, creating a rich, stable humus. They knew raw manure burns the soil and wastes the resource. The lesson is simple. Always compost your manure. Never apply raw manure to your beds. Put hot manure directly on your plants. Let it age with straw for 6 to 12 months in a pile. You will be creating rich, black soil, not just hot fertilizer. This obsession with detail scaled up to the entire farm. This one is my favorite. The Romans obsessed over patterns. Columella insisted the best way to plant an orchard was in a quincunx, the 5-dot pattern on a dice. 1 plant at each corner of a square, and 1 in the center. This was not just for looks. The offset pattern ensures every single plant receives maximum sunlight from all angles. Air circulation is perfected, which means less disease. Root competition is minimized. When you are planting your orchard or even just your tomato plants, do not plant in a boring grid. Stagger them. This simple offset pattern gives every plant more sun and more air. Once their trees were perfectly placed, they managed them with a long-term vision. The Romans did not just prune for fruit. They pruned for longevity. Columella wrote that pruning must serve 3 purposes: produce fruit, select the best shoots, and make the plant long-lived. Their goal was not just this year's harvest. It was creating a plant that would produce abundantly for the next generation. When you prune your fruit trees, do not just think about this year's fruit. Think about the shape. Create a strong, open, balanced structure. You are building a plant that will be healthy and productive for decades, not just 1 season. This combination of deep knowledge and long-term vision led to their final and most important rule. The Romans did not fight the land. They listened to it. Columella wrote with utter certainty that barley tolerates no place except one that is loose and dry. He added that heavy, chalky, wet soil is not unsuited to the growing of winter wheat. They catalogued their soils by texture, drainage, and color. They knew volcanic soil in Campania was perfect for wine. Stop trying to force plants to grow where they don't want to. Does your yard have heavy clay? Stop trying to fix it and plant things that like it, like brassicas or pears. Is it sandy? Plant things that prefer drainage, like rosemary or lavender. Work with your soil, not against it. Let's step back and see the pattern. These 10 techniques aren't random tips. They are a complete philosophy. The Romans understood a fundamental truth. You cannot take from the soil indefinitely. Every harvest must be repaid, with organic matter, with nitrogen-fixing plants, with careful rotation, with respect for the system. They built permanent installations, asparagus beds, grape arbors, and olive groves that outlasted the empire itself. They captured free energy from decomposition, from bacteria, from the sun. Every technique reduced labor while increasing yield. That is efficiency in its purest form. Modern agriculture chose a different path. It favored short-term yields fueled by chemical intervention. But that path is reaching its end. Soil degradation, water depletion, collapsing ecosystems. The answers we are scrambling to find are not new. They are written in Latin, preserved in the texts of Columella, Varro, and Pliny. The Romans proved this system works at the scale of an empire. They fed 50 million people for 1,000 years on soil that grew richer, not poorer, with every decade. This knowledge isn't lost. It's waiting in the vault. It's waiting for us to remember that the most revolutionary idea in farming might be 2 millennia old. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe to Nature Lost Vault and share this story. Every like, every share helps preserve this wisdom. The next vault opens soon.